I could summarize three. One of them is technological, and today the technology is moving fast, and are we ready for it? Are we not? Worldwide, now this is a huge issue where most of the countries are not ready for the new guest of new innovation in technologies. The readiness is actually in terms of regulation and in terms of human resources. It's very essential to look into technology in these two. The second one is related to the intermodality of infrastructure. In the United Arab Emirates, we have done great jobs when it comes to maritime ports in the United Arab Emirates. We're talking about Jebel Ali ports, we're talking about Khalifa ports, we're talking about Fujairah port, and they're specific. Fujairah, they're looking into bunkering, and they're doing great, and they're worldwide leader of that business. But are they linked together? So that intermodality would require two things: means and regulation. The regulatory system that we have today is not ready to accept the issue of intermodality, because each country, each emirate has its own system. They have their own data, and they operate within that system and data. Now, would that data be, if you were duplicated or replicated elsewhere, would it be useful? I don't know. If we look into a system that could be good for all, data that is good for all. Today, the era of data, if we have what it takes to accumulate data and regulate systems among these ports, among roads associated with them, I think we are successful. We are probably one of the lucky countries where we have a new baby coming up very soon, and that is Ittihad Rail. Now, with Ittihad Rail, we could actually make that intermodality easier. We can make it more effective, and we can also be more competitive worldwide, because we have what it takes to link roads, rail with ports. The third is the economy. Today that we have a world dip in the economy, and that actually create challenges to all, not only regional challenge, but it is worldwide challenge. I believe that most countries have failed in creating the right environment for private sector to adhere themselves within a comfortable zone and operate as an effective party with effective initiatives. Most of our regulations, contracts are not ready yet to accept private initiatives and put them in a very comfortable zoning, and then be partners with governments to create a future business. Private sector would require comfort, transparency, and would like to have a clear systems and regulations. If we have that, definitely any investor would make contribution. We know today that the private sector has more money than governments. So if they are not part of you, if you do not give them that comfort to accept your operational system, to accept your strategies, to be part of you, and make them as partners, not as one party and second party, I think you could give them enough confidence to come and say, yes, we could participate on your future. We really need to look into the catchment areas. Are we good enough with our existing ports? Do we need more? Do we need extension for that? That is not a supply issue. The supply issue is done by investment. but the demand issue is done by the requirement of people, the requirement of the market. But it's the demand would actually necessitate what we are to be doing next. I always assume that at the time of dips, we really need to go back and look into the fundamentals. Are we doing the fundamentals right or not? We have to look into the effect of technology today. That's becoming a very fundamental issue. Today, if we look into our transportation means, we really need to look into what technology would surprise us with. We don't want to see vehicles with no drivers, ships with no crew being introduced to the maritime or to the road, and then we are not ready for it. These are the fundamentals that we have to look into and see how much can we participate on the world fundamentals as well. We cannot isolate the economy from the politics. We have to be clear about that. The whole region, not only the region within here, but what you see today in France, what you see today in England with Brexit, what you see today in Ireland, these are affecting the fundamentals. They are not affecting their own countries only, but they are also affecting the fundamentals of the economy, supply and demand as well. Today with the electric vehicles, electric vessels in general, and vehicles, ships, airplane, whatever, technology is very essential, and it shapes the future. It shapes the intermodality. It shapes also our knowledge. So today, our readiness would actually be associated with these impacts of electric vehicles, with the impacts of the artificial intelligence that we have. In the United Arab Emirates, we caught it a year ago. So that is why the government introduced a minister for artificial intelligence. We know that this would actually be affecting our future. So is the food industry. We have a file for that. Locally, we looked into also the need of the people. What would they require if things changed? Would our road be good for the future? That has to be looked into. That's why I always think that dips are a great time for us to look into our existing status and introduce anything that might be at that time when you're competing, you missed, you didn't really look into. But today we associated universities, research bodies to look into our future. Do we need to modify anything? If there is, then the government is ready to make the necessary modification to suit the requirement of the future. We knew how important when we realized the outcome of phase one. We removed a huge number of trucks off the roads. Efficiency is better. Even cost is less expensive. In terms of accident, zero accident with the phase one as of today. In ports, we're looking into over $60-odd billion a year. That's coming into the maritime if you really get the best of the maritime as an industry. Now, when you have a Etihad rail, then you're providing them with a stimulus that make their business even more effective as far as ports. Also make intermodality better. Also reduce the risk on the roads, less accidents. Also make a little bit of space on the domestic traffic as well by removing some of the local traffic within the region itself. What you see today, you would see something else tomorrow. Innovation is too fast. You deal with a lot of uncertainty. That is why maybe the skill I I would like to see is a skill capable of dealing with uncertainty associated with technologies and artificial intelligence. Today, the government, all governments, not only UAE, realize that research institutions, universities are part of the fundamentals. If you engage them, then you know exactly what you're doing. If you have technology leading knowledge, you have a problem, because you probably have technology that is not built on fundamentals, and you might not control it even. I believe that we have to introduce knowledge to lead technology. We don't want to see ourselves slaves of technological innovation without fundamental knowledge. Worldwide, yes. Now here, we introduced our institutions to look into what suits us. Now we do not want to be a part of the big picture simply because things are doing well elsewhere. We have our culture to look into, and we have our knowledge to know, and we have our intellectual basics that we have to respect before we get into any future technologies. Today, we have a master plan that covers the United Arab Emirates, including land usage, including data on ports, including data in schools, name it. Everything within the United Arab Emirates. That is one thing that we've covered big part of it, and then we have to feed it, test it, and see how it goes. 2019, 2020 would be in the testing process, and I think we're covered that very well. The second, we would like to look into intermodality and the regulatory system that could make it works well within the United Arab Emirates. And then put the regulation that suits that intermodality, that is relevant to the technologies that we certify to be good for the future. That technology is within not only our reach, but within our model.